Hi everyone, and welcome to Unit 3 of this Fabo module. Now we're going to be talking about camera. And I don't mean traditional DSLR or broadcast cameras. I'm talking about the future of the camera, augmented reality, drones, first-person wearable storytelling, where the camera is going over the next few years, and how that impacts journalism and storytelling. Let's go. So today I can put on a pair of augmented reality glasses and I can see zombies overlaid onto my city, and they can be chasing me and interacting with me as I run around. Now, what does zombies chasing me through the streets with a wearable pair of glasses like this have to do with journalism? Let me explain. When I was working at CNN International in London, I did a explainer looking at Snapchat and how it was making investments into augmented reality. Judging Snapchat by traditional social media metrics may be a mistake. There's two major plays that some people aren't talking about: live stories and augmented reality. Not just through the mobile camera with selfie lenses and those kinds of effects, but also through wearable technology so that you could see dinosaurs overlaid onto your city. And I think this is a really important point when we're looking at where journalism is heading and the investments that we need to make as storytellers and the understandings that we need to have. And this is why. See, at the moment when we interact with technology, our primary input is either a touchscreen or a keyboard. That's how we interact with our technology. We type or we type on a phone. We search for something on Google or YouTube. We type documents or write emails. And that inputs technology, typing through a touchscreen or through a keyboard, actually has a lot of friction. It's the very reason why you can't drive and type, for example. You have a car crash. Or for example, when you're traveling and you see something beautiful, but you're trying to take photos of it through your phone, there's a layer between us and the world, that glass screen that is separating us from reality. All the time we find ourselves distracted from what's really going on because we're busy interacting with our devices. So the primary way that we currently interact with technology through the keyboard is actually not a very good way of interacting with the internet. It's got a lot of friction. But the camera as an input to technology is really interesting. The idea that you can use your mobile camera, for example, to scan things. Here in Australia, where I'm based, when you go to various restaurants or shopping malls, they make you scan a QR code everywhere you go so that they can track our movements during COVID-19. So if you are infected with COVID-19, they know where you've been. And if you've been to a shopping mall where somebody was infected recently, you'll get notified. The point is, scanning the QR codes with your mobile camera is a really quick way of checking in. And we see this being used for payments in South Africa. You can scan your receipt to make a mobile payment. I've even seen examples where you can use your mobile camera to scan a Metro card in New York City and see a map of all of the routes of the trains. And we could very soon reach a future where you might scan somebody's face to add them on Facebook. Now, the idea of layering the internet onto the world through a mobile camera, that's what we regard as augmented reality. And most of you have tasted it, even if you haven't realized it. Pokemon Go was a huge craze where we're all running around our cities trying to collect virtual Pokemons. That was augmented reality. Those were augmented Pokemon layered onto our physical world. Even when you see people using selfie filters on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, doggy tongues and flower crowns, those are augmented reality layers, augmenting these layers of virtual makeup, if you will, onto your physical self. And the application for this in our real world apps and our real world tools is already happening. Today you can open Google Maps, and instead of looking at a view from top down, you can open your camera and be navigated with a series of arrows showing you which way to go. There's other apps that use augmented reality so that you can point your camera at the sky and you can see constellations of stars. Again, it would be such a pain looking down at a book and trying to look up, but if you can overlay it onto the real world stars, it makes that information more meaningful. And at #OurStories, we've done some really cool stuff in the augmented reality space. We've created an AR lens that can allow you to track your entire human body, organs and skeleton onto yourself so you can learn about the anatomy of the human body. We've created another effect where through your mobile camera, you're immersed in a refugee camp. And we've even used AR to help tell stories around climate change, so people have access to really cool graphics and tools in the field. And if you look at a graph showing how quickly augmented reality as a technology is growing, it's actually tracking as fast as mobile phone penetration was growing when that was taking off. And of course, today, everyone uses a mobile phone. So we can expect over the next few years that augmented reality is going to be part of everyone's daily lives. Remember, there was a time where people were even questioning if they'd need the internet. And today we can't live without it.
What is internet anyway? Internet is, Allison, can you explain what internet is?
It's the primary way that people will look up information. It will replace the yellow pages as we know it today.
So now would the computer give me more than I'm getting that way?
Oh, you can find other people who have the same unusual interests you do.
AR, augmented reality, and the idea of layering the internet onto the world, which is going to be the future over the next decade, is still slightly limited by the mobile phone. And that's why we're increasingly moving in terms of a wearable direction, where you'll wear devices and see things laid on the world. And there's already been some interesting steps in that direction.
Holy mackerel, this is unbelievable.
We may have brain surgeons in Edinburgh operating on patients in New Zealand.
You'll send emotions, feelings.
This is Amazon's glasses, and this one doesn't have any head-mounted display. There's no information you see, but you can call an Alexa, you can order your toilet paper or ask what the weather forecast is like, and all of that's built into the glasses. Or Snapchat, for example, have been playing in the space for a bunch of years. They've been doing camera glasses with 2 cameras on either side that were taking 3-dimensional images of the world, but now they've moved to head-mounted displays that have full information. So you're able, this is the next generation spectacles where I can play games and have all kinds of different experiences layered onto the existing world. For me, this is the closest version of where the future is heading. Really good augmented reality experiences in storytelling or otherwise are useful tools. I use AR head-mounted displays every day of my life, and I actually use it for swimming. Hey, what's up guys? So these are swimming goggles, but they're not ordinary swimming goggles. They have a screen on the inside, and they are made by a company called Form. You can probably see a little screen inside there, and these screens on my goggles actually give me my speed, my distance, my time, so I'm already on a daily basis augmenting information onto my view that assists me in making good decisions. Now, what does this mean for journalism and how can this be utilized? We recently finished a really cool project where we were working with an augmented reality creator based in the USA, and we created an experience where people can walk around the streets of Boston, for example, wearing next generation spectacles. And as they walk around, they see history overlaid onto the streets of the city they're walking in. So they see the women's suffragette movements, they see historical monuments, they see old photographs of markets that they're going through, and they hear stories and a poet narrates to them. And that's a really cool experience in terms of being able to provide layers of information onto the existing world. I believe that this technology has incredible potential to create more empathy and more understanding. If we can see the world through other people's points of view, we can understand their world, and we need that right now. I think one of the most useful purposes of AR, and I think what's really going to take off, is going to be meetings, being able to sit around a virtual table and actually meet someone. Of course, Facebook are also making investments in the virtual reality direction. This is quite different. This is where you're fully immersed in a landscape and you're not interacting with the physical world. Augmented is augmenting onto the real world. Virtual is a whole new world. And Facebook, or what's now known as Meta, are making massive investments in that space. We already see the Horizon product, Horizon Worlds, where you can go around, build new worlds, interact with people. That's going to have huge implications for journalism. The ability to create complex experiences that people can interact with and live in. It's one thing to watch a story, and it's another thing to be a part of that story, and I think that's where this is heading. Bill Gates once said that we often overestimate the changes that will happen in the next 2 years, and we underestimate the changes that will happen in the next decade. So if you're watching this right now, bear in mind that this stuff is taking place. It's going to move very fast, and there is a future where the mobile phone won't be the main way that we consume content. It'll be wearable technology on our faces. And as journalists and storytellers, we need to be ready for that. So guys, in the next lesson of this Fabo module, we're going to be looking at some specific examples from newsrooms around the world that are using augmented reality in very real and serious ways to tell public interest and other news stories that matter. Watch this space.